As we are reading through the final days of these scriptures that we're reading through for the Yah Scriptures and doing the final proofreading, I have been tasked with the New Testament, part of it, a couple of it, and I don't know how many times we've actually read through this. I think some of us have gone through some of these books 7, 8 times right now. But as we go through these books, there's a couple of books that always stand out. And it doesn't matter how many times I read them. It doesn't matter how many times I put these words across my eyes and I absorb their meaning as I try to understand what our brother James is talking about. It always rings home. It always is a clear sign of what we should be doing. And as people who are supposed to be followers of Christ, that means you should be living and doing what our Messiah said we should do. If we claim that we are followers of Christ, but then we say the law has been fulfilled and we don't want to keep the law, then by default, our dad is the devil. Our dad is Hasatan. There's no other way around it. Your parent is the person whom you listen to. And you may have a earthly father or mother. If you don't listen to them, then by default, whoever you listen to, that has become your surrogate parent. And when we listen to people outside of our Creator, we get into a lot of trouble. Now, as followers of Christ, James is very, very clear in a lot of this, and I thought I'd like to read some of this with you guys, and maybe somebody out there can use this to better the world you're in, to better the kingdom that is going to be coming our way. Now, the Christians believe that there is a rapture, that if you take it as a Christian doctrine, then they believe that you can be a group of disobedient, lawless people, but yet our Creator is still going to have a bus that comes and gets you and takes you off to a place of glory. Now, that's part of the Christian doctrine. But when you actually read scriptures, there is no people that are disobedient that our Creator ever saves. There is no group of people ever out there that are saved that are the disobedient rebels of our Creator. Our entire history of creation, of going into exile, of Moshe in the times of exile and getting out of that, is all relevant around one fact, that the people, our forefather and foremothers, did not continue to walk in the ways of our Creator. We only have one way that we can walk with our Creator, and that's His ways. That is through the Torah. The Torah is found in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and that's the only way that we identify what sin is. There's no other scriptures in the Bible that tell us the way that our Creator wishes us to walk, wishes us to conduct ourselves, how we should worship, what we should worship, where we should worship. And the entire goal of the Torah is that we should live by it. It should be our guidelines to life, that we do not make a single move at any point during our day-to-day world where we would know that we are crossing the line of the Torah. That's just what it is. And so when we speak of James and we read his book, it's a beautiful book. Let's begin. And let's see, where are we at? Is this the second chapter of James? Yeah, this is actually James 1 here. So let's take a look at what this says right here. Do not go astray, my beloved brothers. And if you just only had this one verse, most Christians would have no idea what this even means. Do not go astray. Well, the question is, how do we know if we are going astray? What prerequisites would we have on a list that says you have gone astray? Well, you wouldn't know if you went astray if you nailed the laws of our Creator to the cross. If you say they've been fulfilled, they don't apply to you at any point, then you are going to be going astray, because you're going to run into things in life that you don't know how to react to, that you don't have any idea about, and you're going to do them. And ignorance is not bliss when we're standing in the fire, when we're standing before our Creator naked in judgment. And it's only us and our naked form, and we're going to judgment. There's nothing else, right? Did we go astray? Have we taken the 120 years that we have been given to walk with our Creator and to walk with Him to the very best of our abilities? It doesn't mean that we don't fall into sin. It doesn't mean that we don't break laws accidentally all the time. It means that when we understand them and we are on the boundaries of them, that we don't do them. Our Messiah took 39 stripes across his back because that was Hebrew law. One stripe less than 40 is what everybody was given. They didn't want to give more than 40 because they said it degrades them. So our Messiah took a stripes on his back 39 times. Every single time that we live in sin, that we do not come back into the covenant with our Creator, we're adding another stripe to the back of our Messiah. 17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no change, nor shadow of turning. Having purposed it, he brought us forth by the word of truth, for us to be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. So then, my beloved brothers, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man does not work righteousness of Elohim. Right? This is one of these things that if I had to be judged on the quality of my life based upon verse 19 right here, I fail, right? Swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, right? That's completely opposite of my life. This is why these books are good for all peoples at all times, because is there any one of us out here who can honestly say that we're swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath, right? These are all qualities. And when we are looking at ourselves in a mirror and trying to measure it based upon the Torah, based upon the word of our Creator, most of us fail. Most of us fail in all of this. There is a way to the kingdom, but it's with clean hands and a clean heart and a clean mind and a clean soul. And so we want to take every bit of this advice in Scriptures and write this on our heart, mind, and souls. 21. This is what James says. Therefore put away all filthiness and overflow of evil, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your lives. Now, if you are honest about receiving the implanted word, when we say that the laws of our Creator are no more, they've been nailed to the cross, that's the old stuff for the old people, those are for God's chosen people, well, you're not receiving with meekness the implanted word. You can't go through Scriptures and say one half of the book doesn't matter, because the Old Testament is the New Testament revealed, and the New Testament is the Old Testament concealed. It's all one big book. It's not a mixture of books. It's not old and new. It's not just new. It's not, this is for one group of people who we call the Christians, and this is for the group we call the Jews. It is not like that. The Scriptures from the front of the book to the very end of the book are for anybody who wants to be a child of the Most High and is willing to change their life into that fashion. Now, continuing on, what else do we talk about with the word? First of all, James says we need to receive with meekness the implanted word. Unless you read Scriptures, you will never have the implanted word. Unless you are willing to negotiate through the Scriptures, to read through the Scriptures and try to figure this out, you don't have the implanted word. You wouldn't have it, right? If we are truthful with ourselves. 22 says, and become doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Wow, this is in the Christian doctrine. The Christians read out of James all the time. But do we truly see what James is saying? How do you become a doer of the word if you don't know what the word is? You wouldn't. The Christians will say, well, the Holy Spirit, I've had them say it just like this. Well, honey, the Holy Spirit guides me, and I just pray as I pray for my swine as I eat it. That's what they all do. They take little bits of Paul here and there, and they're like, well, don't let anyone judge me in meat and drink and what day I can worship, right? That's completely taking things out and making them a satanic. When you take Brother Paul Shaul's writings and you justify yourself from the law, You have made his writings satanic in your life because you don't understand them and you don't have the clarity to get through them. People love Brother Shaul. They have made him their Elohim, the lowercase Elohim. Christians will, by default, when you start speaking about the Torah, will say two words. Paul said, and then they will go back to it. Well, Paul said here in Ephesians. Well, Paul said here in Galatians. Paul said here in Romans. Paul said here, right? They have one little piece of a verse out of nowhere, and they don't realize that Brother Shaul was a Pharisee by heart. He was an astute, top of the line, the best of the best. He was the Pharisaical genius back in the time, and he only converted to HaMashiach later. So when he's talking about a lot of the things he's talking about, he's bringing in Judaism, he's bringing in Talmud, he's bringing in books outside of the Torah. We're told in Deuteronomy 4:2 that we are not to add to or take away from the Torah. And when we add in things or take away from them, we're breaking commandments. And we don't want to be a bunch of commandment-breaking people. It's not what our Creator wants us to do. So James says we need to be doers of the word, not just hearers. Okay, well, that takes us to the part that we have to learn these scriptures, and we should be reading them. And we should writing them up on our hearts, minds, and souls, because if you don't, we're not going to be a doer. Continue on. 23 says, because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away and immediately forgets what he was like. Guys, anybody who says the laws of our God are gone, James says they are only a hearer of the word and not a doer, right? If that is you, if you think the laws of our Creator are gone, James says you're like a man who looks at his natural face in a mirror, forgets what he looks like, goes away, and just can't remember anything. That's not how to write the laws, statutes, and commandments on our doorstep. It's not how to bind it into our life. It's not how to put it on the gates of our house or have it on the frontlets of our eyes. None of that. If you read the Torah and you immediately forget about it and do not apply it to your life, well, James is describing those people right here. 26. But he that looked into the perfect Torah, that of freedom, and continues in it. And before we go any further than that, people don't understand that there is freedom in the Torah. Everybody goes contrary to that, and they go, oh, this Torah is bondage. Oh, this is just a horrible thing. Oh, we're just shackled down. We're slaves. We're slaves to the Creator of the universe. Yes, the Almighty who developed us and made us and knew everything about us. We're just slaves. Shouldn't we be slaves to our Creator? We didn't give us life. We didn't give us a soul. We didn't give ourselves 2 eyes to see and 2 ears to hear. Didn't give us 2 legs that we can walk around on and be. This is what our Creator designed and gave to us. Prior to us being born, He took a look at every single one of us, into our eyes and into our souls, and then He breathed the breath of life into the womb. And there we were. So we're not strangers to our Elohim. We may not remember it. We may not know about it. But guaranteed, our Creator remembers it, and He knows about it. And if we want to be a hearer that forgets, then we're basically scriptures that have been talked about right here. So how is the Torah perfect freedom? Because when you walk in the Torah, you have less sins that are accumulating for the day of judgment. That makes us free. Freer than those who never hear the Torah, who don't care about the Torah, who walk carnally and will die in their carnal ways, right? You, us, all of us, we have the ability as free men, right? Free men doesn't mean free without the Torah. It means you're free men because you have the Torah and you're walking with our Creator. That's the only way you're free, right? So, if anyone among you thinks he's religious and does not bridle his tongue but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is worthless. Cling, an undefiled religion before the Elohim and Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, to keep oneself unstained from the world. So it doesn't say right here that the only thing we need to do is visit the orphans and widows, which is an absolutely amazing thing to do. And it says right here, to keep oneself unstained from the world. Well, how do we, I guess that it begs the question as how do we become stained, right? Well, anybody that has a subscription to cable TV has the ability to be stained. If you're sitting there watching the one-eyed sleep snatcher and watching all this carnal TV and movies and music and all this garbage all over the place, you will be stained, right? Even from back in the days when my kids were just 4 and 5 years old, they can still sing the songs that I lived gleefully as a raging Babylonian. They still remember the songs. Once they have heard it, it doesn't matter how old they were, it continues on with us forever. We are staining ourselves by walking in the world, by smelling like the world, by tasting just like this world. Are we celebrating the holy days of Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, right? We're staining ourselves. We're walking with the Gentiles. We're walking with the nations. And this is what our Creator wants us to do, is to not look like the nations, not look like the Gentiles, to keep ourselves separated, and to keep the Torah on our hearts, minds, and souls. Our Creator gave this to us for a reason, and it is up to us if we want this freedom of the Torah. Or it is up to us if we choose our daddy is Satan. There's not a second road to this. You have the left and to the right, and both of the left and right take us off the narrow path. The narrow path is the path that we should be on, and we only have 120 years of a lifespan, and nowadays, most of us don't have more than 80 years. People are dropping nowadays at 8 years old. Heart attack city, right? The world is gone. Now is the time right now to make these choices. Now is the time to walk away from the sinful lusts of the world that we are in and to dedicate ourselves to the kingdom to come. Dedicate ourselves to the Creator who gave us life, who gave us the opportunities to be His people. That is the amazing thing, is He didn't just set us here with no way out of this. He gave us a shot. He gave us a way into the kingdom to come, into a place where it is Kodesh, where it is holy, where the ways of the world aren't going to be, where people love our Creator, love His ways, they love His Torah, they love His appointed times, they love everything about Him, and they love His Son, Messiah Yahushua, Jesus the Christ. That's who's going to be our King. That's who's going to be our ruler. We're not going to be taken away, raptured into this. There's not going to be a whole bunch of rebels. If you think a rapture is going to look like the Hell's Angels on bikes coming up, they're all driving their bikes out of this world, that's not happening. It's going to be the people who are set apart. And we have to be wise. Like the virgins who had oil in their lamps. They were ready. When their Messiah came, when their bride came, they were ready. And if we are not ready and we've heard this message, this is on us. Every single one of us have a choice. Every single one of us have a way that we can walk forward and choose the right way forward. And it doesn't make the world easy. It doesn't make the path easy. It doesn't make it at all. What it makes us is that it makes us that we are in that path. And it's a lifetime adventure. It's a lifetime work. So guys, the Torah is in. It'll always be in. It is the guidepost to life. It is the lamps of life. It is everything that we need to light our world and to keep us going. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm out.